The hardest moments, which there have been plenty, I think it's where you find yourself and you're sitting there and you're like, hey, what is what I'm doing really worth it? Are you moving in the right direction? Is it something that you're getting emotionally crushed and you can't show any of it to anyone because you can't the brand can't have that association.
Yeah.
Or maybe it shouldn't, and maybe we're doing the other way around. But it's truly tough sometimes to step outside every day and not feel like you're running in mud.
Yeah.
But then you start seeing little results over there, and then you celebrate the little victories. Because those little victories pave the way for the bigger victories.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of time till things kind of fall into place.
Purpose in the youth. Purpose in the youth podcast. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Today in the building, Carlos Soto. What up, man?
How you doing, man? Thank you so much for having me.
Dude,
Appreciate
pleasure. First person ever on the podcast to have founded an alcoholic beverage, and it's tequila.
Wow.
Man, this is a little rough because I'm telling you right now, I am not the biggest tequila drinker, but when I have had tequila in my past, it does not end well.
You know, we've heard that from a lot of people that they're not the right tequila drinkers or whatever it might be. I always tell them, you are not a tequila person because you haven't tried the right one.
Oh, that's a salesman right there. That's the salesman right there.
That is the difference, man. And I'm more than happy to share a little bit with you, but we have very unique taste profiles.
Yeah.
So I can guide you.
Yeah, I say, all right, now to be completely honest and transparent with the listeners and the viewers at home, I was telling Carlos before we fired up this mic, I literally ordered these on Amazon Prime 2 days ago when I was prepping for the podcast.
1 day delivery.
And I was like, there's a chance he might bring a bottle, and I'm going to feel terrible if I don't have any shot glasses if we're going to have a little toast and try it out. So I literally Amazon Prime. These are brand new shot glasses for today's podcast. So I think there's no better way to start this podcast than to get a little taste of both. And let's see what we're cooking up today with Nosotros Tequila. And I love the detail of all this. I love like the back of it. Is this where people would like write their name?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll give you a quick brief story on that as we open this too, for the viewers that haven't seen it on the back.
It's amazing.
It just has a little space where you can actually, write your name or write whoever you're gifting it to, or it's a creative space. The name of the brand is La Historia de Nosotros, literally translates to the story of us. So a little bit when we were coming up with the name, it was just sitting there and thinking, why do people drink? Why are we opening this bottle right now? And it's truly a social experiment. Your drink to get closer to other people, to have a good time, so every bottle's a story.
Yeah,
that was kind of what we were thinking, and having that little avenue on the back just creates a possibility for the consumer to feel a little more personal with it. And we found some, even at the on-premise level, which is bars and restaurants, like some people love that, and they've like literally put their own stamps on the back.
Wow. So
say you go to a restaurant, and they want to just put their own stamp in it.
Oh,
so
that's
like
cool.
A little more personalization to.
Yeah, I love how on the back of the actual where you go to open the bottle, it says "Writing Our Story."
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, this one you just cracked open right first?
Yeah, you can open both if you like.
Yeah,
we can start with that.
Which one do we start with?
We'll start with the Blanco.
Okay.
Usually you start with lighter spirits towards darker spirits.
I'll let you do the honors.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Blanco, you said?
Yeah. So
wow.
What you'll see with this one, the main thing that characterizes Nosotros in terms of flavor profile that makes it a little bit different than what everyone else is offering, is that we do a blend of agaves. That means that we harvest from two different areas, highlands and lowlands. Highlands tend to be a little bit more sweet and citrusy. Lowlands tend to be a little bit more peppery and earthy.
Okay.
So if you smell it, kind of has a little bit of like a sweet cooked agave.
Oh, yeah.
But when you try it, you'll see it actually has a little bit more like a peppery finish, like a taste to it.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. Try it out.
I love it. Oh, that's nice.
It's nice, right?
Ooh.
It has a little bit of that pepperiness at the end.
Yes. Making my heart feel good right now. I'm making my heart feel good. You might make me a tequila drinker by the end of this podcast.
There you go, man.
Not bad for $12.50 on a Friday afternoon.
Not
a little
too bad
tequila
for that,
in here.
right?
This is great. I'm gonna set this right there.
And then this one that you're about to try is the exact same juice. It just goes into a barrel for aging. We use French oak barrels. Industry standard is using American oak.
Okay.
American oak is usually a little bit cheaper and easier to get. We went with French oak just because we like the profile that it brings.
Yeah.
And we let it sit for 11 months. Industry standard.
11 months.
3 to 7. We went 11, which is the most you can go before you go into an añejo. So it's a different category. We have a reposado, so it's a very old age repo. That's why it's a little bit darker in terms of color. And you're gonna try it. It's gonna be a little bit sweeter. It's gonna have almost like a vanilla smell to it with a little bit of like a honey cinnamon finish to it.
Cheers, brother.
Man.
Oh yeah, you could taste the difference.
Right, very different.
Which one do you prefer the most? Is there one, or is it just kind of depend on the occasion?
It depends on the occasion, 100%. Yeah.
Set those right there.
I do enjoy the agave forwardness. So the Blanco is a little bit more agave forward. The Reposado has a little bit more of like that aged spirit type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Usually people that are big in like whiskeys or aged rum or whatever it might be tend to gravitate towards this one. People that think, are more tequila purist, they're going to go with the Blanco. A lot of people that are like, hey, tequila, I'm a purist. They don't even try the other stuff, the aged stuff. They go straight to the Blanco.
Yeah.
It's a matter of preference,
Yeah. It's amazing, man. I mean, honestly, like, too, just looking at the detail of this and even, when you're pulling up with your truck and having the logo on the side, it's just, it's got to be so amazing to go from that process of having just an idea of, like, could I possibly create, like, a tequila company? Could this really become a thing? And then to see the physical product, just the detail of it, just the look of it, the taste of it. There's a lot of work that went behind the scenes to make this, and so it's really an honor for me to capture stories like yours because it takes a lot to fall through the vision. I've seen how much work it is to just create a social media content platform that's not costing me money to produce except my time. And you have somebody like yourself who has came up with a product who is probably, which we'll get into, like went through a lot of different processes just to get to this final thing and to have it here today. My hat is, if I was wearing a hat, I would tip it to you, my man, because I would imagine it has taken a lot to get to this point, but to have it now probably feels the best thing in the world.
Thank you, man. I truly appreciate the kind words, and it is something special. It is like a baby. You see it from the start to finish, and where we started to where we are today is a very different place.
Yeah.
And we're happy with it. But one thing I will definitely say is this was not solo type of thing. I could have never gotten to where we are. Where we are, because we're a company with multiple partners and by myself. The design with the bottle, for example, that was Silvana, which is a really good friend of mine from home, from Costa Rica, actually.
Wow.
She went to Savannah College of Art and Design.
Yeah.
And she designed that when she was a sophomore in college. She literally sat down and worked it out, together. And just because we were talking about the design and how clean it looks and everything.
Yeah.
And she killed it. And it took, 8 months of going back and forth and making sure that everything was good to go. And I'm super thankful with her for that. My co-founder Mike, he absolutely killed it from the start, believed in the project, and along the road, there's been so many people that have come alongside and believed in it. So I just want to make sure that
we got to give them shout outs. Don't worry, I like that.
And no, it's not only about the shout out, but it's like
appreciation.
I feel like, and I truly believe in that whole thing. That expression. It takes a village. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the whole, maybe I'm going in a different direction, but
run. I love it.
Something that I always think about is when talking business on entrepreneurship, you have people that always introduce themselves as self-made millionaire, self-made entrepreneur, self-made this and that. For me, it's so hard to believe that, you're truly self-made. I think it always takes at least one person had to believe in you, whether it was that banker that gave you that loan, whether it was that person, the first person that gave you the time of the day. I feel like as humans, we're very, very interactive and very bound towards community environments
Yeah.
and truly being self-made.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that it takes a community of people to execute that, and it takes a community of people to execute on even on a bigger scale.
Nosotros.
Yes, yeah. What does nosotros mean again?
So it means us.
Us.
Yeah.
It does mean, yeah,
us. We. The definition is like community, identity. A group of people.
You're right, dude. If I could have gone back in high school and taken Spanish more seriously, I would have, because it's the one language if I had to learn a language tomorrow, it would be Spanish, and I need to get better. Right now, living in Los Angeles, it is around me all the time, and maybe this is the conversation in the moment where I go, enough bullshit and time to actually get into it.
I'm not kidding, man. Duolingo is actually not bad for a starting point. And once you need to go to be in a place that you can actually converse, and conversational is the only way being exposed
to get better at it, right?
Yeah, to get better at it. But for the basics, I think it's definitely very, very helpful.
Yeah. Before we get into really the depths of Nosotros and everything that you guys have been up to today, I love painting the picture of how you got to where you are in your life today, because I think so many things, which we'll probably get into, have led to this point. You grew up in San Jose, Costa Rica, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
What is this environment like for you growing up? I've never been to Costa Rica. I would imagine it's probably beautiful down there. But for somebody that's listening, like myself, how do you describe what it's like to grow up in Costa Rica?
Of course. It's definitely changed a lot in the last few years.
For better, for worse?
For better. Costa Rica is moving in the right direction in many ways. There's some things that are still a little stagnant. Obviously, we are a third world country. Those are things that you can't hide. You have a lot of things that don't work, and we're in an area where Latin America has historically been known for corruption and so many other not necessarily the best things in the American eyes. Thankfully, our country, and this goes back in history, a lot of different reasons, but our country is not as bad as the rest of Central America in terms of corruption, poverty, education. We have actually really, really high levels of education amongst for the area. And overall, it was a fantastic experience, man. I'm super grateful to have been raised in a country like that, just because it allowed me to see multiple areas of life. It's a country that you're super exposed to nature. Everywhere you go, you have either the mountains. A lot of people don't know that Costa Rica has beautiful mountains, and that's even in the city, San Jose, Heredia, like different areas. Everywhere you go is trees and greenery all over the place. And then obviously the beaches that everyone knows, the volcanoes.
Yeah.
I think that nature is a huge way where you can really feel grounded, and you feel like, okay, what is this big thing, this huge spaceship that we're floating on? What's your purpose in life over here? Like, I feel like it kind of humbles you down a little bit.
Yeah.
On the flip side too, I've been very, very lucky on the way that my life has progressed and kind of where I'm at today, because I feel like coming to LA and coming to California and meeting so many different people, it truly woke me up, and it gave me the understanding that truly the world is a lot smaller than we think it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes growing up in Costa Rica, I remember feeling like, all these things feel so far away when you read about NASA, or you read about certain, soccer teams doing amazing things, or there are like athletes or scientists or whatever, and it really isn't that far away. It's the what is it? The degree of separation that used to be like 6 people is now like 3 people or something like that.
Yep.
So taking that into account, it's truly crazy how sometimes growing up in a place like that can make you feel like the world is a lot bigger than it actually is. And
I think with social media and the internet nowadays too, I feel like I can tap into anybody in the world and feel like I'm just a arm's reach away. I could FaceTime a family member that's in London, or you know what I mean? Like I think it's so much, the world is getting smaller and smaller as we evolve. Yeah. And it's great. It's actually kind of beautiful, because I'm able to tap in and get a feel for what it might be like to live in a different part of the world without actually traveling, which I think is giving more people. That's why I love these conversations, and what we were talking about before, of like, I love the fact that you're from Costa Rica, because I've never had anybody on the podcast that's from Costa Rica, and you're going to be able to bring a culture aspect to this podcast that's never been talked about before, right? But also somebody out there that's listening maybe they've never met anybody from Costa Rica, or they don't know what it looks like, and you're able to get a little sense or a little taste of what that place is actually like.
Of course.
Is there like a cultural lesson you think that you still carry with you because of being raised in that environment?
Yeah, I mean, I for sure. I think kind of on the flip side too, you know, coming out here, I used to have this conversation with my dad where I would always, you know, would talk about perspective, and I truly think that there's no perspective without distance. And the moment I came to LA, I started even appreciating a lot more how I was raised and where I was raised and the people around it. Costa Rica has a very unique mindset of people. I think that, you know, we've been ranked plenty of times as one of the happiest countries on earth.
Really?
You know, we were top 1 or 2 for like 4 years consecutive in the last like 10 years or something.
That says a lot. Happiest places on earth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right up there with Denmark, I think was another one. Forget which other ones were in there, but Chile, I think, was pretty up there. It has to do, in my opinion, it has to do with just how people approach life. You know, one thing that I will say is here in the U.S., a lot of people kind of lose track of, you know, do you work to live or you live to work? You know, where do you really draw that line? And I feel like back home, it's pretty clear that most people, I'm not going to say everyone, because obviously I'm not going to, you know, there's always outliers over there. But most people work to live. And if you can make, you know, your work something you love, that's amazing. Yeah. But realistically, there's a lot of people that don't have that opportunity or haven't been able to get to that point yet. Yeah. But even then, they're not losing perspective of, you know, this is a means to an end, and what is that end? It's my happiness and the people that surround me, the happiness of them. And it's more of a vehicle to get me to where I want to be. Yeah. And where you want to be seems to be a little bit more simple, a little bit more, you know, more attainable than a lot of people here in the U.S. or in California or whatever you want to take it. Kind of see it, you know.
I know it's tough with it. I think the biggest realization I've had since living in LA is just there's so many people and there's just this hustle and bustle all the time that I sometimes wish that like I lived in a place that was just so much more quieter and just simpler and not. I love the hustle and I love the grind, but then part of me sometimes like you got to just smell the roses every once in a while and like just enjoy life. Smell the roses. You know what I mean? Like, no, seriously, it's
smell
like
the tequila every once in a while.
Smell the tequila, yeah. You gotta throw in the tequila in the mix, but it's interesting, man. Like there's like a balance of living life, but also working hard, and I think everyone has that different balance, but that's where you, I think, end up finding like that true happiness, because what's going to be my happiness state might be different for you versus somebody else. And I think it's just a game of trying to figure out what is going to bring me the most happiness. And culturally, I think it's going to be different between countries and different people in the world.
Absolutely, man. And you know, I feel very lucky to say that I love what I do. You know, I deal with a lot of people on a daily basis. I'm a people type of person. You're building relationships. You're learning about a lot of people that you didn't even know existed. Yeah. So you're constantly learning. You know, it's every day is a different activity, different environment. We have a great team, but it comes down to, you know, if you're able to get to that point where it's like work and life come together and you can't really tell the difference. Yeah. That's a really cool thing. Yeah. So going back to
it blends
beautifully. Exactly. It just kind of blends and it becomes very natural and you can actually enjoy it. But going back to the whole LA thing that we were talking about, there's also something to be said about why this is such an iconic city and such an important city in the bigger realm of things, right? The fact that it works like that and operates like that has produced so many success stories, so many amazing artists, so many amazing, you call it, right? Whatever it is, because it pushes people to really explore the max that they can actually attain. Yeah.
Because the opportunities are here. There's so many opportunities. Yeah. And that's what's
just so many different layers.
Man. I know. And you keep peeling them back and you just keep finding these different pockets and it's amazing. What is this environment like growing up though? Like, do you have was it both parents? Do you have any brothers and sisters? What does that kind of look like?
So my parents are divorced, so I grew up mostly with my mom, but my dad was always around. I always, you know, spent weekends with them and we did trips and everything. Both are really good friends. You know, they had a fantastic relationship afterwards, so I'm pretty lucky to say that I've had both of them in my life. Love them and miss them every day.
Yeah. Both in Costa Rica still?
Both in Costa Rica, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All my family lives over there, except my sister.
Sister in Boston.
Sister in
Let's
Boston.
go. Shout out to the sister.
Yeah. Mariana's going back to Costa Rica at the end of August.
Yeah.
Her visa's expiring.
Wow.
So yeah, she has to go back. But overall, it was good. I was definitely coming from a family that thrived on love, and that was the main thing that kind of drove us forward.
Yeah. Those little things I've found through conversations play such a it plays such a role in who you become as a person. Like having that sister, or just being like in an environment that loved you, or the fact that you're saying both your parents divorced, but yet still were able to maintain that healthy relationship. Like all these little details like play such a role. It really, I've grown to just appreciate people's stories so much from doing this, because it's like I'm taking note of every little detail like you're just talking about, because they could have broken that relationship and then you could have became somebody different, because 100%. Now you're raised by two parents that hate each other and they don't want to talk to each other, and now they're fighting over who gets to see Carlos this weekend.
Exactly.
All those little details, man, they all add up.
All those little things, man. And even then, there's a lot of people that have grown in that way, and then being able to overcome that is tough. It's tough because it's a psychological thing that you kind of get used to.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing was just understanding that, even though there's differences, you can always come to an understanding and do what's best for both.
Yeah.
They're much happier now, and I'm sure that they would have been if they would have stayed with each other.
Yeah.
And life is too short, man. Life is too short. I've had friends that have had accidents and things, and that you never expect that were going to happen at early stages in life or whatever it might be, and just gotta take action and do whatever you need to get to that point where you're gonna be happier, right?
Yeah. I saw when you were a kid, you were part of the turtle protection volunteer for the wildlife sanctuary of Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You guys protected leatherback turtles from poachers that would steal the eggs. What was the takeaway from that? How did you get involved with that?
So many takeaways. So my high school had a program that was it was community service. Mm-hmm. So it was a whole thing that we would do, and a lot of my friends would go, and it was really, really fun. You'd spend anywhere from like a weekend to a week out in different beaches and different things all around Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And basically what we would do is you go to the sanctuary, work with them for a little bit, and then at night you go out. A lot of the turtles come out to lay their eggs at night. When it's
quiet, nobody's around.
Exactly. When they have they feel peaceful, they feel safe, so they come and do that. And unfortunately, that's something that Costa Rica does have, which is a lot of poachers that go and grab the eggs, and they sell them. People eat them.
They're protecting the eggs because there's not a lot of them.
Yeah. So not only that, but it's like the success rate of them once they hatch going into the water is the most dangerous part of a leatherback turtle's life. Those few minutes, whatever it might be, from when they hatch all the way to the water.
Yeah.
So in order to protect these species that they come from all over the world to literally put their eggs in Costa Rica, because that you see turtles from truly all over the world that come over there because that's naturally where they're drawn to.
Yeah.
For reasons I personally out of my understanding. It's a beautiful beach, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But they come and lay their eggs, and then there's poachers that actually grab them, and the moment they grab them, those are turtles that are never gonna hatch or anything, right? So what we did was we'd actually grab them and take them to a place where it was protected. So they were able to hatch, and there's people watching the process through everything. And once they hatched, they would be helped into making sure they make it to the water.
And then they were good.
Exactly, because not only because poachers, but also animals. Like there's so many other animals that are gonna come and try to get the little tiny turtles and eat them. And when you're taking away the eggs that these poachers are taking away and selling, the success rates of a species continuation throughout time gets very limited, because there's already about, I forget the number exactly, but I think it was right around 35 to 40% of the turtles that hatch don't make it to the water. I think it might be even higher than that. I forget exactly what it was. But when you add the fact that there's poachers that are literally grabbing the eggs, and those eggs are never going to see the light of day, the continuation of the species is tough.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fucked up because there's like this unsigned or like, you know, there's not like us. It's illegal to grab these eggs, right? But the way it worked is we would go out at night and, you know, if you see a turtle and you're there and you're with the team that are going to get the eggs to take them to a safe place, the poachers wouldn't mess with you. But if the poachers were already doing it, you couldn't do anything about it.
You couldn't do nothing about it.
No.
Wow.
And it's very specific beaches and places. You know, it's overall Costa Rica is a very safe country, but this is the type of people that you don't want to deal with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. When I had came across that you were involved with that, I've never even thought about like that was a thing. Like people would be poaching turtle eggs of all. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just cultures. Like there's just different possibilities.
It's similar to, you know, sharks.
Yeah.
People that, you know, they do shark soup in Asia and some other stuff, and rhinos, for example, that they go for the horns, and it has to do with a lot of like superstition that people think, you know, hey, taking this is going to make you this or that. Yeah. There's some groups of people that think that, you know, if you eat a turtle egg and it's on its way, it's already kind of developed. Mm-hmm. It gives you like, you know, sexual enhancement or whatever.
Yep.
And
$200.
Exactly.
People are going to pay for that just because they think it's going to change their life.
No, and you can literally see them in certain like small places and small communities that they're selling them like that, and people like them.
Wow.
They're not that expensive, but yeah.
Stay away from that stuff.
Stay away from it.
What was the inspiration for Loyola Marymount University? Why, of all colleges and universities in the world, why Loyola? LMU. I didn't get accepted there, so LMU, if anyone's watching, y'all messed up.
If you need me to talk to
someone. Should have pulled in the bearded man. Y'all can't touch me now.
I'll tell them they need to figure that out. I was originally thinking of... So I went through a lot of different stages in my life. There was a time where I wanted to actually study film. So that was kind of where I was like, oh, I want to go into this. I thought about going to Argentina first, going to study. I was going in my school where I was doing something called International Baccalaureate, called the IB. It's like an international program similar to the AP, but you take a curriculum over the course of 2 years and kind of just really go into depth in different areas and everything. And it's made towards international schools and international universities and kind of all that environment, right? So I was looking originally at Argentina, thought about going to Spain for a little bit, and then there was a fair of California schools that came to my high school to do a showcase of, hey, this is California, this is the different schools. You know, you had Stanford coming in, you had UCLA, you had USC, LMU, Chapman, UC Irvine, USD, San Diego State. You had
everybody from California. They were just
everyone,
trying to recruit.
Exactly. So it really, I hadn't really thought about it. California for me was always like there's this show I used to watch when I was little called Rocket Power.
Of course,
loved Rocket Power.
On the pier, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, there you go.
I got you, bro. Come on.
Rocket Power was like fantastic, and I always like envisioned just California as Rocket Power land, right? So that was kind of like the idea that I had. It just seemed like such a cool place and such a different environment. And they really painted this picture that was, this is California is the closest thing you're going to find to Costa Rica in the U.S. You have the beaches, you have the relaxed mindset, but you also have so much development, the startups, the Silicon Valley, Silicon Beach coming up.
Yep, Silicon Beach.
You know, that term at the time wasn't even around.
Yeah, not even a thing. Now it's become a thing.
Yeah.
You're part of that, right?
Yeah,
you're part of it.
100%. And it sparked interest. I started looking into it, and you know, I applied to a few different schools, and LMU gave me a fantastic scholarship. I was super excited when that came through, and I was very lucky to have gotten that, because otherwise it would have been really tough coming out here.
Was it education wise, like the
leadership? So I was involved in.
You were the president of your class.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, I was always involved in different just student governments and things.
It's good. Which good, because not only are you bringing the culture aspect of being from outside the country, which schools want, they want to have a good diversity, but then it's like we also have this person who was doing volunteer work, president of his class, involved. I think you were an athlete too, playing soccer. So it's like that's what they want. They want to bring in somebody who is not going to just do academically well, but all around is going to bring something to the school.
Exactly. Yeah. And no, and I definitely was lucky, man. I'm appreciative. You know? And I didn't even visit, man. I just literally looked at, kind of looked at the schools that I had gotten into, and I was like, oh, where should I go? And then I looked at LMU. I was like next to the water, and I had a great scholarship. It was like no brainer.
No brainer.
I got into a plane, came out here, and then later found out there was the most beautiful, amazing school out.
Wow, just
in
like
the
that.
U.S.
Yeah, and they get that beautiful view of LA.
Can't complain,
I know, I've been
man.
there before.
Can't
It's a beautiful campus.
Location-wise, it's truly amazing too, because you're in the heart of LA. You're literally, Silicon Beach is right over there. You know, Google offices, YouTube offices. You have IMAX offices, Fox, Yahoo. Like everyone is in that little area, and more companies are still coming. You have Facebook and Snapchat right in Venice,
right down the way from LAX. It's kind of ideal because it's quiet over there. Like LMU is itself has a quiet neighborhood, I feel 100%. Like, but then you're still just a 10-15 minute drive from LAX, from Venice Beach, from all these major offices. So it's like perfect. It's kind of like a hidden gem almost.
And it was cool because you could always go back and have a little bit of resting time. But then also anytime you're out, you're in LA, man. You're in what's the expression? The mouth of the lion.
The mouth of the lion.
The mouth of the lion.
Yeah. LA for sure is the mouth of the lion. Yeah. You were a business admin and entrepreneurship major with a minor in finance or economics minor. Mm-hmm. But while you were in school, you did intern for quite a bit. For LMU, I think you interned as a marketing development type intern.
So that was within the student government. So I also
got
into student government at LMU for a little bit. I was a senator in like the student government. So
you were crushing it.
I like getting involved, man. I like having fun. At the end of the day, it's like, why wouldn't I? It allows you to meet people. It allows you to have a purpose. It allows you to get involved in different things. And I was also in a stage where I was really trying to understand what I liked and what I didn't. And I said,
well, that's interesting. Going off of that, because you ended up doing an internship with Paramount Pictures as a marketing financial analyst, and then Mesoamerica, which was like a industry and opportunities analyst. What was like the feel for where your life was going? Like, where did you feel like you're talking about this film aspect, you're majoring in business, but you're also involved with government. There's a lot of different interests.
A lot of different things.
Before that senior year, where were you?
I came into LMU as an entrepreneurship major. I switched to marketing for a little bit. I switched to finance for a little bit. I went back to entrepreneurship. Realistically, I was all over the place. Yeah. I loved my internship with Paramount. That was fantastic. I learned so much about, just doing the Excel work and kind of creating strategy for marketing from the financial standpoint. Mm-hmm. How do you track ROI? What are the things that we really need to focus on? At the time, I was working with a team that was super focused in different territories like Spain, international territories, Spain, Australia, China.
Amazing.
Funny enough, man, at the time, Transformers, for example, was coming out, Transformers 4.
Oh, wow. That must have been a crazy time to be working for them.
Especially in China. Like, they have such a big following out in China.
Yeah.
And that came through another friend that I had met at LMU, Katie Rooney, too, who actually just got engaged. So, congratulations, Katie.
Congrats.
But she was awesome. She helped me connect with the right people, and we were just chatting, and one thing led to another, and I worked with them for a while too.
Wow.
And then I thought I wanted to go into investment banking, private equity.
That's where the money's at, right?
Usual suspects, exactly. And there's something too about, I feel like a lot of college students, when you're in that stage, there's something kind of romantic about investment banking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Wall Street, all this type of stuff. Which is super cool. Don't take me wrong. Mm-hmm. I thoroughly love tracking markets, and I love like just being in touch with all those different that entire different world. But it comes down to time and how are you going to maximize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So you just kept. It sounds like it was just you trying a bunch of different things, which I think is exactly what college is supposed to be. It's supposed to be this time that. It's that gap, man. That 18 to 22 is still a whole nother growth of somebody, because for a lot of people, it's now their chance to go live out on their own, but it's really buying you 4 years to try different things, to see what your actual interests are, to see, do I actually want to major in this? Do I want to minor in that? And I think the best thing you did was just get super involved, which sounded like clearly, like you said, like it was just kind of you wanted to be involved, but it's also giving you little chances to figure out, is this what I want to do?
It's testing things, man, and trying out different things and seeing where, the different ideas. I went through many different stages about thinking of going back home and working back home, thinking of going the investment banking route for a little bit, and then, the whole conversation about H-1B visa, which is the visa you get as an employee when you work for an American company, and how hard it is to get that one. So, there's a lot of different trains of thought that were going on at that time. One thing I did learn during my brief time doing PE, private equity, was that if I was going to work that hard, I might as well just work for myself. Yeah. So that was like kind of what led one thing to another, and ended up convincing me of where I'm at today.
Yeah. Perfect segue. Senior year. You're in your senior year, and this is when you get asked to put together like a business pitch. But I guess it could have nothing to do with technology, or maybe there were some like certain things, guidelines that you guys almost had to follow.
Yeah, that was the idea that everyone was kind of creating an app for this, app for that, or whatever it might be. And it was like, hey guys, forget about apps for a moment, and remember there are other things in business too. Different industries, different things. And we got that assignment on a Friday, and I had to pitch it on Monday. And ever since I moved to California, tequila became my drink of choice.
Really? Any specific reason, or?
Yeah, I was going through like a health little stage of my life too, working out a lot. I figured, I was kind of getting tired of beer, and just feeling a little bit bloated or whatever. So I was like, hey, what other stuff is out there? I used to be a little bit more of like a whiskey, a Scotch specifically drinker when I lived in Costa Rica, and like out here, tequila's huge, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Mexican influence into the California culture, and I just discovered that there were so many other faces to tequila that I didn't know about, especially a lot of people. I was one of those people that used to think, you either have Jose Cuervo or Patron, that's it. And there's so much more out there. I mean, and so many craft people doing really cool things, so many different variants and products of quality. I discovered sipping tequila, which was one of the best things I could have come across. And it's also one of the healthiest spirits out there, and
that's the name of it, sipping tequila.
Yeah, like, it's not stuff, you're not shooting it, you're serving it on
the
whether
rocks.
It's neat or on the rocks or whatever, it's with water or soda. So it's very, very, it's a very clean spirit, and it doesn't make you feel bad afterwards. Obviously, anything you overdo,
it'll catch up. But if you balance it, you're not going to feel bad about yourself.
Exactly. And even calorie-wise, it has a lot less compared to the average spirit.
Yeah. So you go back to school that Monday, and you say, I'm going to do a tequila company.
So I went out that Friday.
Yeah.
And
made a lot of bad decisions.
Bought a tequila. Not that many, actually. Not that many. Not that night. Bought a tequila drink, but then I saw people also buying tequila, and it kind of sparked interest, and I was like, hey, I've never realized how many people are actually drinking this. Like, it's not only me. And the next day I looked into the industry. This was right around September 2015. And it had been growing double digits for the last few years, while rum, vodka, bourbon was actually still growing, kind of a little bit slower, but the other two were actually coming down in sales, with the exception of Tito's. Tito's was a completely different case.
They were skyrocketing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But with the industry as a whole was coming down. So I sparked interest. It was like, what's costing this? Where are we going with this? And I just did a little bit more research on how does tequila made? Where does it come from? The appellation of origin behind tequila. Understanding that all tequila comes from a little town in Jalisco called Tequila. I didn't even know that. And so I built a pitch around it and pitched it that Monday, and kind of forgot about it for a little bit. And then the idea just kept on coming back, and it got to a point where I was like, hey, I need to figure out if this could actually be something.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the transition process into making the decision, hey, let's start this project, even if it's a side thing for now.
And I think by the time you graduated, you already had the actual product sample ready to go. You had the name down.
Yeah.
So how walk me through that process of like, it's coming back to you, keeps showing up to, then you finally, like, you're graduating and this is what I'm going to work on after I graduate.
For sure. So it just got to the point where when I really wanted to see it through. So I decided to fly down to Guadalajara, went out to Tequila, met with a distillery out there, met our master distiller, and I asked him like, hey, how can we get something different than what everyone else is doing? And that's where he told me about he was blending agaves from different regions.
And what is agaves? It's like a how do you describe what agave is?
Have you seen an agave plant?
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
It almost looks like an aloe plant.
Okay.
Like it's a little bit bigger.
Yep.
But it's I don't know if you want to pull a picture because it would definitely help with the reference, but it's almost like a pineapple on the bottom, and then there's very, very pointy leaves that come out of it. It grows on the ground.
Agave.
Agave.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh,
it grows on the ground,
yeah.
and
Okay.
you cut the leaves with a big with a big almost shovel like looking tool, and then those pineapples looking piñas, they're actually called piñas in Spanish, the heart of the agave.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the agave comes from. So that gets broken down into pieces. You put it into an oven, you heat it up, then it goes into the mill, and that's where you extract all the juice, goes into fermentation. After fermentation, you go into distillation. And then once after distillation, we do double distillation. First one kind of breaks it down. Second one kind of cleans it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the juice actually comes out right around 63% alcohol.
Wow.
And then we use reverse osmosis to get it down to 40%, which is kind of where the sweet spot is.
How many trial and errors did you have to go through to finally land on that perfect ingredient?
So the obviously at that time I knew absolutely nothing about the process. I was in a learning mindset, right? Thankfully, our master distiller helped a lot, and like he showed us the way. And when I came back from Mexico, I actually came back with a bunch of different samples that we created during that time. I think we had about 7 or 8 different samples. Mm-hmm. And this is where it gets fun. I invited a bunch of friends.
I knew that was coming.
I was living in Playa del Rey at the time with some of my roommates, great friends too. So they were there. I invited some other friends. We had about 15 people come through and just try it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And there was one formula that 13 out of the 15 chose as number 1, and the other 2 chose it as number 2. So I was like, holy cow, there's something. I mean, that's when you have that.
What are the odds that everybody
out of 7, that's a pretty high sample.
Yeah.
That's actually our Blanco of today.
So was that the first bottle that you started to really develop was the Blanco?
So we said, okay, perfect. We have this is the formula we're going to go through. So I sent them, I called them and I told them like, hey guys, this is what we're going to, this number, whatever it was, I'm blanking on right now, is the one we're going to work with. People loved it, and they were like, "Okay, perfect. Just let us know whenever you're ready to go into production." And that's where you sit down and you go, "Holy cow! How the heck are we gonna get some money to do this?"
Yeah. And how did you find like this guy as the main person to produce it? Like, I feel like the fact that you bought a flight, flew down there, and then you found the right guy. I mean, there had to have been some.
There's this beautiful tool called Google that has a list of distilleries.
I figured it was something that easy, but
yeah, it takes time. It did take a lot of calls, and we had a few meetings. One's actually in Mexico, just like meeting with different people.
Yeah.
Understanding how the different distilleries operated. The one that we ended up working with, they've been in the industry for years. They're a really, really nice family.
Yeah.
They half of the time they live in Mexico, half of the time they live in Houston. So it was really, really comforting knowing that they understood the industry that we're going into here in the U.S. and everything. And our master distiller actually comes from the Siete Leguas family, which used to be, one of the oldest and most well-known tequila producers in Mexico. They produce fantastic stuff too.
Wow.
And so he's been in the industry for years, and he really knew his stuff. So I think it's serendipity.
Yeah.
A lot of luck in this whole process of just kind of gut feeling. Oh, this feels right, this feels wrong. That we're gonna go over here. Like
yeah.
I think there's a lot of serendipity that goes into the whole process of getting to where we are today.
And the product actually hit the shelves. Was it January of 2017?
January of 2017.
So what do you think was some of the biggest challenges from you graduate in May of 2016? You have this vision for what you want to create. It doesn't hit the shelves until 8 months later. Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges you're facing in between that?
Well, so at the time I filed for OPT. OPT is something that allows you to stay in the U.S. for a year.
See, here we go.
Studying exactly, doing exactly what you studied. In my case, I studied entrepreneurship, so there was I was lucky that I went back to entrepreneurship because I could actually start a company.
Yeah.
Funding was a big one. I took a couple of loans from a couple of friends and family, and then but small ones. The biggest one I ended up taking was one from Bank of America. God bless Bank of America.
Wow.
I was very thankful with my banker Jonathan at the Westchester location because I built a relationship with him throughout my time in college.
Yeah.
And when I came to tell him about this, he was like, hey, there's no way you're going to qualify for a business loan, but you can get a personal loan. And we actually are offering up to $50,000 right now in terms of personal loans at 0% interest for 18 months. So I was like, shit.
So I have 18 months to figure this out.
That's
with
free money for 18 months. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
So obviously I didn't qualify for the full 50.
Yeah.
But I qualified for 18,000. So I took out $18,000, and that was enough to make our very first batch.
Wow.
A lot of learning things on the road over there. Little things like the very first bottle that we made.
Yeah. So when you guys hit the shelves, was it just the Blanco or was it both?
Just the Blanco, yeah.
Just the
so
Blanco.
this takes 11 months to make. So we hadn't even started aging it.
How long does a Blanco take to
Blanco,
age?
the process of making Blanco is unaged, but the process of making it takes about a week and a few days or so. It's a lot quicker. The longest thing is fermentation, which takes about 72 hours of fermenting, and then the actual distillation process.
Wow, but that compared to 11 months, man, that's a big.
Yeah, and then cooking is about 60 hours too.
Wow. Were you nervous about going with a tequila that takes 11 months to ferment, or?
We started with the Blanco just to kind of see what was going on. I was talking to Mike at the time that Mike is a year younger than me, a really good friend from college. And when I told him after the tastings and everything, I told him about the project, and he was on board. Started helping here and there, and then slowly started getting a lot more committed into it, and we started running with it. He was when we launched, he was finishing school, and I was just trying to figure out how to pay my bills on a daily basis because obviously we didn't have any salaries or anything.
Yeah.
But we figured it was easier to start just with one SKU and kind of growing from there. So the first couple of months we just were going everywhere, and little places around the LMU, and
just like sampling, trying to get the word out, trying to get anybody to try
exactly. Trying to understand, because we knew absolutely nothing about this industry. We're going into an industry that's hundreds of years old, and it's been through prohibition, it's been through distribution, it's been through different changes in laws and things, and then there's a very specific way of doing business. So what did we end up finding? We found that our niche, and it took a while to get to this point, a lot of lousy meetings and things. Our main niche was bars and restaurants that cared a lot about what they're carrying. So what you see on the shelf. When you usually go to a restaurant, you see, you'll see a bunch of portfolio-based brands. So you see all the ones that Diageo owns, all the ones that Brown-Forman owns, all the ones that Pernod Ricard owns. You see the ones that are distributed by Southern Wine and Glazers, the ones that are distributed by Young's. We're a self-distributed company. So they have a lot of pre-arranged deals like, hey, carry this amount of liquor for whatever it might be, and these SKUs from our portfolio, and we'll do this, and that. So navigating that was definitely a learning curve, because you're going into a thing that you think, everyone, hey, if you like it, you're going to buy it. It's not that easy.
No.
So we found success in some smaller niche brands, and places restaurants that, carry just really craft and high quality stuff.
They want the unique things.
Exactly. Because our biggest thing was, here's a 22-year-old me and 21-year-old Mike. We're going into these restaurants or liquor stores, and tasting people on this is like, what do these kids know about tequila? What are these guys doing?
Yeah.
But once they try it, they're like, oh wow, this stuff is really good.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we have preconceived notions of, you're judging a book by its cover. Tequila for the longest time was deemed as a very old and antiquated industry.
Yeah.
So when you used to think about that, you always thought about the guy in the suit, or the guy in the horse riding in the agave fields and all that type of stuff. And our whole goal with it was creating a really, really high quality product, but bringing it to people at a decent and fair price, especially for our generation. You know, a lot of people are drinking tequila nowadays in our generation because they're a little bit more health conscious. They you know, you're getting tired of the usual suspects. They understand that there's a little bit more out there, and thankfully we're in a growing industry.
Yeah.
And it's just been really, really cool being able to provide a product of such high quality at an affordable price for people. And that's what a lot of these bars and restaurants started seeing in us. You know,
Who was the first one that gave you the green light?
Very first.
Got to give them a shout
Yeah,
out.
got to give them a shout out. Very first restaurant that we sold to is called Bobbbaaaay.
Okay. Where's that in?
That is in Playa del Rey. It's right in the corner. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with Playa del Rey?
A little bit.
So it's right on the corner of, I think it's Culver Boulevard.
Okay. So it's in a good area.
Yeah, right before you go into Vista del Mar, like right before you take that super cool road that goes into the ocean.
Yes.
Rides along the LAX and the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. So we those were the first guys that brought us on board. Second ones were Sol Cocina in Playa Vista too.
Wow.
Then we landed our first liquor store. Dell's Junior Liquor Market, which is a big liquor store for LMU people.
And this is all from you just going out there and showing face.
Yeah, and then we also had to come back and buy our own product because at the time, you know, we make sure that it moves and everything.
Smart man, you got to make sure it's moving.
Yeah, but and a lot of that was just standing there and telling people, hey, give it a try it out and see what you think. Full transparency though, the first 4 or 5 months were absolutely brutal.
Yeah,
we were barely selling any. It was really tough just getting the time of day from people. And, you know, we were running super low on cash at that time. I remember we were sitting in April of 2017 and we were sitting right around with like $2,500 left in the bank account, just really not knowing what to do. And we got a message from our importer telling us from this spirit competition that happens in San Francisco. To put it in perspective, it's like the Oscars of spirits. And, you know, to send the sample was like $500. If we wanted to actually go out there and like kind of talk to people and do the demo thing and everything, it was like another, you know, you need to buy flights, stay somewhere. So we said, okay, we're not going to go. We're just going to send the product out, see what happens. It's a blind tasting. So everyone that tries it just tries it blind. You have no idea what you're trying. It's a fair competition. And a month later, I got an email back from San Francisco, and it was like, let's see what happened here. I wasn't expecting anything. Yeah. And I opened it, and it said, you know, awards for the tequila category. And it comes down, you have double gold, silver, and bronze, and then non-awards. And basically the way it works is if all the judges give you a gold, then you become a double gold. And from the double gold, they choose one winner from the entire competition. So they do another round of tasting. Yep. I looked into double gold things, and right in the middle it said Nosotros Tequila. And then I looked next to it, it said Best Tequila of the show, Nosotros Tequila Blanco, which was absolutely insane. And I don't think we even dimensioned what it really meant at the time. But I still grabbed it, and, you know, I grabbed those results, and we came on top of a lot of, like, really well-known industry players. Herradura, Código, Milagro. And we grabbed that and literally just sent it out to a lot of the people that we were requesting meetings from. You know, I've been, like, sending messages to so many different people, and suddenly people started responding. They're like, okay, maybe let's see what you have. Let's meet. Let's try it out. We got our first big box retailer, Total Wine & More. We got in there. You know, later on we'd get into Bevmo, we'd get into Bristol Farms, Lacey Acres.
It gave you the credibility. Exactly.
It gave us the credibility for people to actually say, okay, these guys, even though they're young, they know what they're doing. Yeah. And that was the biggest thing, you know, because you're coming in with an award-winning one that's competing against a lot of other products that have been in the industry for years. Yeah. And these guys are coming on top with, like, the top-notch judges in the world. Yeah. Let's see what they have.
I love how I had read in a past interview you had said, if Chance the Rapper could make music without a label, why can't we sell tequila without a traditional distributor? Yeah. Do you still feel as passionate about being self-distributed?
We do. And we're continuing to grow that way. You know, we're still self-distributed. And one of the main reasons we continue to do that is just because it allows us to grow according to our own terms. You know, there's so many different distribution companies out there, and some of them are bad, some of them are fantastic. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of everything, and, you know, in there. And I think for where we are in our timeline and how we've continued to grow, you know, we have over 500 different accounts in California, and we're still doing that.
500.
Yeah, and we're working with we have a drop shipping system, so obviously it's not always.
Where do you guys? Is this
based out of Irwindale? So like that's like a very centric location to just ship all over California.
Okay.
So you know, anytime that we have orders from accounts that are close to our office in Hermosa Beach or close to our homes or whatever, we try to deliver it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about, you know, being able to bring it to the account and say hi, and you know, it's a business, it's a
Absolutely.
relationship business too at the same time. But then if we have an order, you know, it's called in San Francisco, we have an order in San Luis Obispo, we have an order in San Diego, wherever it might be, we also have the opportunity to drop ship out there.
Wow.
So, you know, it provides a different structure to the traditional system of a distribution. Why do we do it? Obviously, you know, these big distributors have so many different brands, and you know, a lot of their salespeople, obviously they work on commission. The biggest thing for us is, say, for example, you know, somebody else is selling other tequilas. Are they going to go for the easy sell, or are they going to focus on trying to sell this small brand that nobody knows about, that you're still learning about? You know, you're kind of, do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Sure. So it's not going to be as efficient as us building our own sales team, because our sales team is only going to be focused on doing our own thing, and we also get to choose who's actually selling our product.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing for us.
Yeah.
Being able to make sure that the person that's coming into through your door to sell Nosotros is a true representation of the brand as a whole.
I think. Sorry, not to cut you off. I think what you're doing is you're setting up a bigger long play, because you're making sure that everything is in place and it's going in the right pockets, so that it doesn't just get pushed to the side. It's just some other tequila company. And it makes so much sense. There's so much of a story behind the bottle that you don't want just any company just to put it on their shelves and sell.
Exactly.
You want them to feel the story as much as the person that's sipping the bottle and drinking the actual tequila.
Exactly. And you know, it's for a lot of bars and restaurants, it is a pain in the ass, because suddenly, you know, you have your 3 distributors that sell 98% of the products, but then you have that 2% where you have to pay a couple of little guys here and there.
Yeah.
But it's, at the end of the day, you know, if someone is really gonna be that bothered by having one extra invoice, maybe that's not someone we want to be doing business with.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we've been lucky to have a lot of people believe in us, and a lot of brands and a lot of restaurants and a lot of like good locations like our stuff, and they've had no problem with that.
Yeah, and people can also buy this online too, right?
Yeah. So we work with a lot of different companies. You know, there's if you go online, you can find it. If you literally just Google Nosotros Tequila, you can find it in Saucy, you can find it in Drizzly, you find it at High Time Wine Cellars.
Yeah.
Liquor.com. We're launching a solution ourselves too.
What's that?
Relatively ourselves, like within our company.
Okay.
So I think that should be up and running about a week and a half or 2 weeks or so. That is basically going to allow us to ship anywhere, almost anywhere in the U.S.
Amazing.
So that's very exciting. And you know, that's a whole different thing. We're only in California for now.
And shipping too, only in California.
So for wholesale. So for bars and
okay,
restaurants, or like if you want to buy off premise or whatever it might be, we're only in California. But this is going to allow us to sell to a lot of other different states. You know, if you're hearing this and you're in Massachusetts or whatever, you're going to have the opportunity to buy our product.
Wow.
Which is going to be really fun. You know, bringing a little bit of California all over the rest of the U.S.
It's going to be on the shelves in Massachusetts soon enough. I'm going to be going home to visit the fam, and that tequila's going to be looking at me. I'm going to go, Mom and Dad, we're going to have to hook my man Carlos, so we're going to buy all the bottles off the shelves. I love that 1% of the sales goes towards Waves for Waters, which is an organization that fights to bring clean drinking water to communities in need across the globe. What was the deciding factor to give back? Because you don't have to do that. You don't have to give 1%. You don't have to give anything at all.
Yeah.
Why take the initiative and give back?
I think there's multiple angles to this. First, I feel like liquor as a whole is not something that people associate with doing good. And, you know, these guys, where we started working with Waste for Water, they just have a really cool mindset. It's like, it's a guerrilla style humanitarianism. You know, they don't have a lot of people in like salaries, and like it's not your traditional NGO in that sense. It's all built around, you know, surfers going all over the world and seeing these communities in need. You know, you're surfing amazing waves outside, but then right in front of you, there's people that don't even have access to clean drinking water. So it's like, that's actually how it started. And you know, it slowly developed into this network of people all over the world. That it really resonated with us, and I did a little bit of work with them during my junior year for another class project. And
my man's involved. Carlos is involved.
It kind of just goes all around, right? And this was actually the creative director for Hurley, Ryan Hurley, did an interview with them for a class project, and he kind of opened that whole waste for water, everything that Hurley is doing with waste for water, and they continue to do. They're a big supporter of waste for water, and I fell in love with what they were doing. The idea on the longer term too is being able to up that up a little bit, and you know, have a little bit more on the nature side, protecting our planet, and just initiatives to, you know, stuff that has to do with direct correlation with, you know, whether it be global warming, whether it be protecting of endangered species, or protecting, you know, you call it beaches, beach cleanups, whatever. Yeah, that's the angle. So ideally, once we reach economies of scale and we can kind of lower our cost a little bit more, we want to up that a little bit.
I think the key is that not any single person has a responsibility to change the world, but it's like, what little good can you add? And whatever it might be, it's, if you get everybody to give a little bit, the world's a better place. But you can't beat yourself up to think that it's your sole responsibility to change the world. But it's, if we can give 1%, why not? That's something that's putting one step forward. That is it putting somebody in a better position than they were when they woke up this morning.
Yeah, and they do a lot of stuff too that has to do with emergency response too. You know, when disaster hit in Puerto Rico just recently, there were some of the first people out there. Literally first responders, and when stuff like that happens, and you know, you have waterways that are destroyed, and you have the first thing you need to make sure that people are able to drink water that looks like this, because if you're not drinking, you know, if you're not drinking clean drinking water, it's so easy to get sick, and then it just creates this chain reaction of people getting sick, people getting infections, the hospital's not working, whatever it might be. Whether it's in Puerto Rico, they've done stuff in Costa Rica, they've done stuff in Nicaragua, they've done stuff all in Mexico, all over the world, Nepal. So it's, you know, having a bit of a global impact at a local scale.
Yeah, it's really the little things like that. I have a gratitude journal that I write in every morning and every night. When I wake up, I write 3 things that I'm grateful for, and then before I go to sleep, I write 3 things I'm grateful for. It forces me to start the day on the right foot, and it also forces me to close the day on the right foot. But it's little things like that it's like, yo, there really are people that don't have access to this. And it sounds like so theoretical and so like, oh, I mean, what do you mean? There's literally people that don't even have access to clean water. 100%. And I could just casually go get this out of the fridge.
We're developing this project with a community in Nosotros in Costa Rica, which is a huge tourist town. It's a beautiful place. If you've ever want to go to Costa Rica, go to Nosotros. I love it. But there's literally a community of over like 120 families just north of Nosotros that that they all have artisanal wells, and a lot of that water is not even as clean as it should be. It is much better than a lot of other places around the world, for sure. But we take it for granted, man. We take it for granted. 1 billion people in the world don't have access to power. When you actually put that into like perspective, power, something as easy as turning on a light, that has become like second nature to us. People don't even have access to that, man.
And there's people in this world that don't even know what this is, like laptops and technology. There has to be people that still live in this world that have no idea what this world has to offer.
And without going into political things or anything, I just want to make sure that nobody takes this as, hey, this is a socialist claim or something of that nature. I'm libertarian by nature. But I believe that we have the power to help fix that, and as private individuals and our liberties, I think there's enough good people in the world that we can choose to make a difference.
And I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Thinking big picture, what are some of the things you want to see happen for Nosotros moving forward? Just give me whatever pops in your head. What are some of the big items you want to see happen?
Goal is
speaking it into existence, because we're going to be able to call back in 6, 12, 8 months, whatever the case might be, this is going to be the documentation.
We're going to become the staple of tequila in California, man. That's our most immediate goal. We're growing brand awareness, getting people to understand it. Nosotros is a lot more than just the tequila. A lot of the focus of things that we do is very event-based, bringing people together. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Our goal as a company is to bring people together. And how we do that through events. We do that through our bottles. We do that through our social communities. There's a lot of different aspects. And I'd love for anyone that sees the Nosotros brand anywhere to think, okay, this is a good group of people that are bringing even better group of people around them. And I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. Going off the people, this is a good group of people. I know we kind of skimmed on in the beginning, but talk to me about the team that you have working with you today, because that's a lot of people like Sam who's in here today, people that cut videos and edits. Like those are people that help me execute my vision. So talk to me about the people that are helping you execute your vision.
So as of today, we have a team of 8.
Amazing.
Very, very lucky to have amazing people. Mike, who I spoke about. PJ, who is our director of sales, he's basically just crushing it, helping us grow. He comes from a corporate sponsorship sales background, building everything. We have 2 full-time sales representatives, Sasha and Nico. Sasha was actually our first employee.
Wow.
She's been amazing, super, super loyal, super enthusiastic. She's an amazing girl. Sasha takes care of LA. Nico, who is also an awesome dude, is working down in Orange County. We're about to hire someone for San Diego. And then we have Andrew in Central Coast. So he's part-time, should be joining us full-time relatively soon, hopefully. And then we have Kiana. Kiana came on board in October.
I know Kiana.
You know Kiana?
She's I just met her for the first time at a Yes Theory event a couple weeks ago, but she's been showing love to the podcast for a minute now, so I really appreciate it. But yeah, I ran into her and she was like, "Oh, I saw Carlos come on the podcast in a couple weeks." I was like,
she's an awesome girl too, and she has a really good vision. She comes from that world of marketing alongside on the sales side and kind of big picture development.
Yep.
So it's been really cool because obviously we come from the let's be scrappy, let's spend as little as we can, let's make the most we can. So finding that balance between one and the other, I think we make for a great team, and we continue growing it and whatnot. And then Ryan, he's been on and off for a little bit with us. Ryan Hawk, he is now part-time helping us out with off-premise, so checking in and the Bevmos, the Total Wines, the Bristol Farms, making sure that we have all those placements in place, and they're looking good. The people at work over there are doing that. He's one of our partners, and he was a key player at a very early stage because he believed in us. He was our third partner to come on board after Mike.
Wow.
And he believed in us really, really quickly. Then funny enough, the way we met was through social media. Because he liked some stuff on the Nosotros account, so I sent him a message. He's also an actor, so he had a bit of a following. And I sent him a message, hey, do you want to try some Nosotros? And we met at Uncle Bill's in Manhattan Beach. We had an amazing breakfast, and he tried the tequila. And he was like, shit, man, this is good stuff. And he's just a workhorse, man. Once he sets his mind to something, he just does, and then he was a huge success factor to where we are today.
Yeah.
And I believe that's it for the team. I'm not sure I didn't miss anyone. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then myself.
Yeah, and then you. Yeah. You're the head captain.
Yeah.
Are you how do you maintain making sure that everything is in place, right? Like you have the team of people that have their roles and stuff. What are the qualities that you try to make sure that as a leader you're communicating with people, but you don't ever want to step on anybody's toes? What have you found to be the best way to be the leader of the company?
Yeah, that aspect you're talking about, which is delegating, that's something that was really tough to learn at first.
Yeah.
Especially because when we started, obviously, I was literally doing pretty much all of it in different moments at all times, and there's always been some overlaying with Mike, Ryan, or whatever. But as we continue to grow, it's just impossible to think that you can actually supervise everything.
Yeah.
So for me, it was learning to delegate and trust, hey, you can do this type of stuff. What do I look for in our team? It's just people that have a common mindset. They understand that what we're doing is big picture, and we're building something that we truly believe in. And they have to believe in what we're doing too, to make sure that we're all in the same boat. And anyone that comes over here, every person that we've hired along the way, we've told them, here's your job description, but you need to understand that this is merely a suggestion. Depends on the day. You might be doing things that are completely different. This is a startup by all means. You need to understand that, every day can be a complete whirlwind. It doesn't matter what it might be. We might have weekends that you got to work. Obviously, as a spirit brand, you have events on Friday nights, Saturday. Sometimes you got to do demos. Sometimes you just got to do things over there. But overall, it's just people that have a common mindset, and they find that balance between work and play. And first and foremost, that they love tequila. They love Nosotros. That has to be the most important thing. Because I truly believe it's a lot easier, if not almost impossible, to sell a product that you don't believe in, right? You got to believe in it.
Yeah.
And so that's the main thing, and then just finding people that are have that play hard, work hard mindset.
And it all kind of blends for them too. Is if they're doing what they love, they like the tequila. This is all just one work and play type lifestyle. It's
building a family, and obviously there's moments where you have tough conversations and you have tough moments. Like every business, it happens, and it's a roller coaster. And at the end of the day, as long as our slope is going up and we continue going in the right direction. I think that's all that matters, man. The bad moments are part of it, and differentiating that friendship that you build with team members with work.
Yeah,
I think it's also very important, and it takes a specific type of person to be able to hold those together.
With what you know today, if you had to give the young Carlos any advice for when he was just putting together this idea, this concept, what's the one advice you'd give to yourself?
Never burn any bridges, man. You never know how life comes back at you, and a lot of the people that I've met at some point have come full circle later on, or whatever it might be. I think that and it takes time. I think as millennials, we're very focused on wanting to get things immediately. We want results right now, and I'm guilty of it myself. And sometimes it takes time to get to where you want to be, and it takes time to build.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's this. Rome wasn't built in one day. It's true. It's truly true. And just keep pushing, man. I think that's the biggest thing. The hardest moments, which there have been plenty, I think it's where you find yourself and you're sitting there and you're like, hey, what is what I'm doing really worth it? Are you moving in the right direction? Is it something that you're getting emotionally crushed and you can't show any of it to anyone because the brand can't have that association.
Yeah.
Or maybe it shouldn't, and maybe we're doing the other way around. But it's truly tough sometimes to step outside every day and not feel like you're running in mud.
Yeah.
But then you start seeing little results over there, and then you celebrate the little victories, because those little victories pave the way for the bigger victories.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of time till things kind of fall into place. And full circle, to bring it back to kind of like what we talked at the very start of our chat. Don't forget that you're working to live and not living to work.
Yeah.
That balance between those two things is super important. And even if I'm really enjoying what I work in, just understand that there's a balance to be had, and sometimes it's fine to.
Yeah, I think you end up it recharges you.
Yeah.
Recharges you when you step away.
Yeah, 100%. And everyone needs it, man. Everyone needs it. Anyone that's wired 24/7, 365, you're bound to crash at some point.
Yeah.
We're just not wired that way as humans.
Is there anything in your day-to-day routine that are kind of a must to help you mentally, physically stay on point?
I try to stay well physically, like fit. Like I've been swimming a lot, yoga. So I enjoy doing those two quite a bit. I used to play a lot of squash and soccer. Don't play those anymore as much as I'd like to, because it's that you depend on another person. Those are things you can kind of accommodate in your own time.
Yep.
But I think just being able to release endorphins and sweat, I think is a huge thing for me. I'm a very type B personality person, so I'm not type A by any means. I kind of just go with the flow every day, and my schedule is very, very, very flowy. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing that day. So I'm not the type of person that, you lay out, I need to be working out at 5 a.m. every day or whatever. There's people that works for them.
Yep.
I know I like the flexibility of, if a friend is in town, I can go, have a drink with him, and, it's a Tuesday or whatever, and I can wake up the next day at 6:30 instead of 5:30.
Yeah.
I think that, and keeping in mind that life's short. Going out of here, I could get hit by a bus and get in a car accident.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It happens, man. It happens, and you're gone, and that's it. So what we have is here and now, and while you need to plan for the future and really have a vision, I think it's focusing on what you have here and now, and being thankful for being able to talk to you and have Sam over here listening to our story.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that, man.
What about gratitude wise, on top of all this? Like what's something that you're most grateful for today?
So many things, man.
You can, if you got spitball of items, go ahead.
I mean, all my friends and family. I think that's been a huge part of where I am today. I have a very, very solid group of friends back home that they truly became a family, an extended family to me, and I'm very lucky. These are guys that we've been friends for years, and we literally have a WhatsApp group that we talk every day and stay in touch. That provides a really strong foothold at home. My family, I never had any problems. Very thankful with my dad, and I always had food on my plate.
Yeah.
He taught me discipline. He taught me to love. My mom taught me to love. I think that's a huge thing. And just being here too. I'm super thankful with my team and how we've gotten from being a project developed literally in a bedroom in a house in college to actually having an office and being able to operate as a real company. Super thankful with my girlfriend. She's been super supportive through and through the whole process of this, and she's always been that anchor, and kind of coming back to her and feeling supported, and friendship. A lot of my friends here in LA, just people that I there's just people that believe in you and believe in what you're doing, and I'm thankful with everyone that drinks it too, man.
Of course. You gotta keep the business going.
100%.
If you're watching right now or listening, make sure you go to Nosotros.com, get yourself some tequila, get the party started this weekend or next weekend or whenever you're drinking it.
It's good stuff, man. And even if you're just
I told you, my man, I'm not the biggest tequila drinker, but you got my interest trying it today. I might be Nosotros' newest salesman on the streets of LA with my bottles. Hey, anybody?
We can figure something out.
We can figure out some deals. I want you to describe to me, and it doesn't have to be into craziest detail, but what would be the perfect day for Carlos? What is the perfect day from start to finish, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep? What would be your perfect day?
Perfect day. It's tough because I like doing a lot of different things. And,
we got that truck outside with the nice decal. I'm like, I know my man. He probably loves I know you like the adventures, the outdoors.
I think a perfect day on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, you have outliers when you're out and about somewhere and you're on vacation or you're whatever it might be, and those are very enjoyable too. Perfect day, you wake up, you throw a good workout, you get that out of the way. Maybe a swim or whatever. You jump to your phone calls, make sure that everything's up and running, do some deliveries, say hi to people, and you come back and you feel accomplished at the end of the day. I think that's the most important thing, that you feel like, hey, if I were to repeat this day for the rest of my life, would I be happy? Yeah. Probably met with some people at the end of the day and had fun and made it enjoyable. There are days that you have to do things that you might not be as stoked, but as long as the average of your days are the days that you could repeat for the rest of your life and you're happy with, I think that's a perfect day for me, man. Feeling loved and appreciated, and being able to love and appreciate other people too. I think that just happens on a daily basis, though. Everyone you deal with, right? I
think just the idea of waking up every day with some direction that you believe in, I think is a very important thing. That I mean, it wasn't long ago I was waking up without a direction, and how lost I feel, and how grateful it is that I am that every day I have some sense of direction,
Yeah.
as I know you do as well. That alone is just, that says a lot, because there are people that are going to wake up and not have a clue as to where they're going. And that's not to say you can't find the right track. That's why this podcast was created, was to document stories like this. But it's like, just sometimes just having that direction, we're not where we want to be. Nosotros isn't where it's gonna be, but it's like there's the track. You just have to keep running with it and seeing where it kind of takes you.
Totally. There's a track, and the way I like to think of it is it's a highway, and you have plenty of lanes that you can take, but you choose which one you're gonna take. You can be stuck in a lane that has a truck in front of it, and you're going really slow. And if you're fine with that, then that's fine. You can take the fast lane, you can take the middle lane, you can switch over lanes, and as long as the highway is taking you to where you want to go in the long run, then so be it.
What do you think Carlos's purpose is? What do you think your ultimate purpose is?
Truly depends on the aspect of life, but I think bring joy to other people.
Yeah.
I think if I can do that on my daily basis, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think that's we're social beings. I think humans at the end of the day are just animals that are able to tell stories and being able to chat. And that's what differentiates us from everyone else, right? That's what's literally what built our foundation and what built our society, and are able to exist in a world where a lion can snap your head, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if we ignore the fact that that's the main thing that draws us together, we're ignoring the very one thing that makes us human.
Yeah, I know. That is the one thing, that we are just animals at the end of the day that can just talk and write and are conscious and can develop ideas. And but I love the aspect of bringing joy to other people. And that's what I hope a lot of these conversations do for people that are listening, or for people that are here in the actual podcast. Before I get into the closing questions, this is when I reverse the role. I clean the slate, allow the guest to ask me any one question. 2 rules. 1, can't be directly about the podcast.
Okay.
2, it can't be a question I already asked you today.
Okay.
But you can ask me any one question.
Okay.
Anything you want.
So we're reversing into it now.
Now Carlos gets to ask the bearded man any question that he's got. I
think here I'm gonna even get closer to feel more empowered. How about that?
I love it.
I think the biggest thing I love, and it's I feel like everyone takes a different thing. If you had the opportunity to spend an entire day with someone alive or dead in history, who would it be and why, and what would you talk about? What focus would you get?
Wow. Anybody dead or alive?
Dead or alive, man. It doesn't matter. If you had that one chance to really explore someone's mind, and that person is going to give you nothing but their time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And while you think of that, I'm going to add one thing, man. Perfect Carlos Day could also be, this is a completely different thing.
I love it.
Costa Rica winning the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. Would be really, really happy.
I love that. Man, that's a tough question. Anybody dead or alive? Who would I want to sit down with?
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, and the one I'm gonna go to because it just was an instant gut would be Larry King.
Larry King.
Because of the amount of people that he's interviewed and the amount of people that he's spoken with. I'm not saying I'm trying to become the next Larry King, but the amount of knowledge that he must have from just the amount of conversations and the interviews that he's had in his career, he's got to be filled with so much gems. And I would love to just kind of hear his perspective on when he started as an interviewer to where he's at, and some of like the biggest takeaways that he's had, because the amount of stories and people that he's talked to, I can't even fathom. But one thing that I've taken away from him, that I've studied from him and I've seen in interviews, is just he talks about how sometimes the best questions to ask are the most simplest, and to let the person draw that out instead of going to this whole complicated thing of like whatever. Just ask the simple question and watch how it unravels, because and learning silence in a conversation, of let the person think it through. Don't try to walk them through the process. Present the question, let them process it, and if they're struggling, like, let them struggle. They're gonna brew up some type of idea. I think those have been 2 big takeaways that I've had from him. But
dude, and he's also, I'd venture to say that he's the father of like even where podcast is today,
Yeah.
like those shows and interviews and being
Yeah.
able to explore that.
Yeah, it would be Larry King. What about you? Anybody that jumps in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I, I have a few different people. I feel like spending a day with Leonardo DiCaprio would be super interesting.
Super involved with the earth, like trying to give back with
Yeah.
the world right now. I was
Yeah.
blown away by his documentary on
Yeah.
Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't yet, but
I forget the name of it, but
it's mine to do.
he filmed the documentary right towards the end when he was filming. What was the movie he played as he was like an Indian, or it was, oh god, it's gonna blow my mind. Not an Indian,
What
but
was the theme of the movie?
it was like in the woods. He literally doesn't even talk throughout the movie.
Oh, The Revenant.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was while he was filming that, he was also filming a documentary, and he's super involved with trying to give back to the world. I can talk about it to you off
And
camera,
that's an aspect I'd love to learn a little bit about everything that he's been doing and just understanding his take. I know he's a very different individual than a lot of people, and then just to kind of wrap it up and give you a couple more that I think it would also be super interesting. Another Leonardo da Vinci, just a mastermind of everything that that we've thought about, and how his take into society so many hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be super fascinating. And then just a little bit more on a today type of environment, kind of bring it back. I feel like Richard Branson would be super fascinating too.
Yeah. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That maybe be another one I could think of. I just
go wakeboarding with Richard Branson. That would be fun.
That'd be crazy. That would be crazy. Yeah.
Richard, if you're listening,
hit him up. He'll bring the tequila. Yeah, it's super interesting. I think there's certain people like that are placed on this earth to do incredible things, and just getting a little ounce of their mindset would be interesting to kind of hear and see the way they process things. Because at the end of the day, they're no different than any of us. They sleep, they eat, they go, and then they have things they love to do. But
everyone is just
the mindset is the difference.
Exactly. Everyone has the same fears, the same things. What do we all want in love and in life? And Elon said it at the Joe Rogan Experience thing.
Yep.
What are we all looking for? It's love. It's being able to connect with people. And like, we are very binary creatures at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's multi-layered people. There's a lot of people that have multiple layers, and if you can unravel those, it's super interesting. There's people that have less amount of layers. It's what it is. We're a very diverse species. But at the bare minimum, we're very, very binary. What do we want? We want food, we want shelter, and we want love.
Yeah. That's all it is.
Take those things, and you can live a perfectly happy life.
Yeah. Closing questions for you. Mm-hmm. One, where can people find you on social media? Where can they find Nosotros?
Yeah, Nosotros. So social media, you can either send a message to Nosotros. I see all the stuff that goes over there, or my own personal too. And Instagram. That's a really easy one.
And that's at Carlos M.
Soto.
Yep.
On Instagram. And then Nosotros, so we're available in California at every Total Wine and More, Bristol Farms, and Lacey Acres.
Let's go.
Bevmos, we're in a good amount of them. If you are going to a Bevmo, I'd recommend just calling, because right now we're kind of running a little bit low on product. But it's usually there, and they can get it for you.
Yep.
You can buy it online, and if you go to our website, there's a tequila locator where you can literally see the restaurants that we work with. If you want to give it a try, would be much appreciated of it. And it's really good stuff. And if by any reason you don't like it, feel free to send me a message, and we'll see what we can do that you're actually gonna like.
That's good customer service right there. Make sure you guys head to Carlos's actual Instagram, drop a bunch of bearded man emojis so he knows you're coming from my podcast, and he'll know that it was from this conversation. But before I ask the last question, I want to thank you for coming in today, taking the time, man. This has been incredible. I really admire and respect, just seeing everything online and kind of doing the research. I knew what I was getting into with this conversation, but just like the passion and the message and the story behind like what this product is, it makes me want to be the biggest tequila drinker of all time, because there's just so much of a story behind it. And, it's people like you that are leading a path of showing people like it is possible to make a living doing what you love. Mm-hmm. You are just adding more fire to me for this brand, because it's a different story. It's unique, coming from Costa Rica, moving to a whole nother country, going to school here. Like that's a leap that I never took. I took a leap going from Massachusetts to California, and that felt so second nature. But to like literally like leave your family behind in a country to go better yourself in school, and then to launch something that you have no idea where it's going to go. And of course you had a team to help bring this to life, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't be where you are today if there wasn't the values and the people that you were raised with.
Totally.
And all the lessons you've learned along the way. And
every life has a way of putting things into place, and sometimes we don't even understand it until later.
Yeah.
And I'm not religious by any means, but like just being able to see how life literally has a way of, I believe in energies, and
yeah,
I feel like at the end of the day, if you have a positive energy and you surround yourself with people that have positive energy, going back to your question about what would I tell myself a few years ago, surround yourself with people that have the right mindset.
Yeah,
I think that is such a big difference when you're in the right people. And if you feel drained by anyone, cut them loose, man.
Yeah.
And then you can do it in a very, like, it's not a problem. You just say like, hey, I don't think things are working right now, whatever it might be, a friendship, a relationship, a family member. At the end of the day, family is something you build. It's not something you just have,
Yeah.
So it goes in many different ways. And I think that just comes back to what we're doing. And the whole idea with it is bringing people together and really creating something. It's a means to an end. And what is that end? Let's have a good time and enjoy our time on Earth.
Yeah, I love it. Last question for you. What's the best 2 to 3 piece of advice you would give to somebody that's listening right now, hasn't found that passion, hasn't figured out what their true purpose is, trying to figure that out? What's the best 2 to 3 things you would say they do?
I think it's just one specific one, man. I think every ounce of growth that you get at some point in life comes on the outskirts of your comfort zone. So anytime that you feel comfortable, keep moving. Because if you feel comfortable, you're not growing.
Yeah.
There are no challenges coming your way. Keep moving, and try to find something that makes you uncomfortable. Even if you later find out that you don't like that, you're going to end up finding something where, oh, wow, I actually like this. And suddenly your comfort zone just got that much bigger.
Yeah.
And just keep expanding it.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a very long way for growth and finding a passion.
Yeah. Seek the discomfort.
Yeah.
Carlos Soto, man. Pleasure, brother. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate the time, and this has been awesome.
It's been incredible, man. We'll catch you guys next time.
See ya!